Chapter 456, Devil. A freshman at Shanghai University? Yu Wentao suddenly remembered a video he had seen a couple days ago. He recalled the figure singing and playing the zither in the footage and compared him with Tang Xiu. He immediately realized why he felt that the young man looked so familiar. It turned out that he had seen him in that video. "I didn't think you were so gifted. But a pity, it will be very difficult for you to get out of my renovation company today," said Yu Wentao in a cold tone. "You would already have been done if I hadn't given you time just now. There's no point in you saying anything now. Lead the way." Tang Xiu coldly looked at him. Yu Wentao turned and took the lead out of the VIP room, a dozen of fierce-looking youths angrily glaring at Tang Xiu. As Tang Xiu stepped out of the room, they also followed closely. In the new Dream Renova company's backyard. With a sneer on his face, Yu Wentao came to a stop there. His men arrived one after the other, the number now exceeding 30 as they surrounded Tang Xiu. Most of them held weapons such as machetes and steel pipes. He was confident that Tang Xiu would be hacked to death as long as he gave them the order. "Tang Xiu, isn't it? I'm suddenly feeling merciful. I can spare you miserable life as long as you beg me for mercy and break one leg of yours. Of course, there's no way you can get out without compensation, though it won't be too outrageous. You injured 8 of my men, so you must pay 10 million yuan in compensation each. Pay 80 million in compensation and we can forget this matter." Slowly raising his hand, Tang Xiu stretched his finger and hooked it toward Yu Wentao and indifferently said, "Tell your men to come at me. We shall see whether it'll be you or I who will die. Trash him but don't kill him. It doesn't matter if you got him crippled." Yu Wentao scowled and shouted violently. In a flash, more than 10 men armed with machetes and steel pipes stormed over toward Tang Xiu. Most of them were experienced in fighting, and they had used the weapons in their hands to beat up quite a lot of people as well. Therefore, they brought that confidence to clash with Tang Xiu. Alertly observing his 4 sides, yet don't acting hashly, Tang Xiu then moved as the lightning. He instantly flashed to the side, his fist hitting the man in front. At the same time, his other hand also grabbed the steel pipe the man hacked at him and easily snatched it. Pa, pa. Blood splashed in all direction as the steel pipe smashed heads. The steel pipe's afterimage in Tang Xiu's hand was waving like a tiger in the midst of a flock of sheep. The men who had him surrounded were unable to see Tang Xiu's movements and were smashed by the steel pipe, falling down to the ground. Yet, Tang Xiu's footsteps didn't cease moving as the foot of a man was broken whenever his footsteps landed. Heavens! How is this possible? Fuck. How could he be so powerful? Am I dreaming? Dozens of our brothers got done in already? Probably, not even half a minute passed from the beginning to the end, right? There were still more than 20 men who had yet to act. They had looks of disbelief on their faces, as many of them couldn't help but exclaim in alarm when they saw this scene. People say that a pair of fists can't contend with 4 enemies. Yet, in front of Tang Xiu, the internet celebrity who seemed to be only in his early 20s and turned out to have such powerful skills, everyone gaped and was shocked. After all, never once had they ever seen or heard of a man knocking out dozens of people, to begin with. Is he Zhao Zilong from Changshan or something? Many suddenly remembered such sentence. In their view, wasn't this feat only something the historical Zhao Yun from Changshan could achieve? Not far away from the scene, Yu Wentao gaped in disbelief as he looked at Tang Xiu. He could barely accept the fact that Tang Xiu was able to take down his 8 men in the VIP room before, but now, seeing Tang Xiu easily take down 15 of his men at the same time, that easily was something he could no longer accept. It must be known that those 15 men were more powerful than the previous 8 men. Even 2 or 3 ordinary people were not opponents for the 2 men amongst them. Anhu. Recovering from his shock, Yu Wentao quickly shouted loudly. A tall, bear-like middle-aged man stepped out from the crowd, the steel machete in his hand reflecting dazzling lights under the sunlight. he was the best fighter Yuantao had. He had once defeated 7 people and came out unscathed. I may not be able to beat him, boss. Please order Little Qing to give me a hand. Pick whoever you think can assist you. Yuantao growled. But no matter what, I don't want this punk to get away alive from my renovation company today. Got it. Anhu nodded heavily, murderous intent in his eyes. He shouted in a heavy voice, Little Qing. Ah. Ben, Little Mao. You 3 come assist me. Immediately, 3 stalwart men stepped out of the crowd. In their hands were machetes and steel pipes. They glared fiercely at Tang Xiu as they encircled him in the middle at an extremely quick pace. Now. You should be Yuantao's most powerful dogs, yes? Seeing you makes me suddenly recall an ancient saying, said Tang Xiu with a sneer. What ancient saying? Anhu squinted his eyes, a murderous intent flashing as he asked. The monkeys reign when there are no tigers in the mountain, said Tang Xiu indifferently. Soft-legged shrimps don't have any strength whatsoever in front of me. Whether or not I have the strength to fight back, that will have to be tried first. Anhu sneered. After saying that, he stepped forward. His footsteps were solid and were particularly positioned. In just a short 2 breaths he appeared in front of Tang Xiu. His 1-meter steel machete hacked down toward Tang Xiu's head. Had it been an ordinary person, the machete would probably split him in half. Fending and dodging to the side, Tang Xiu's footsteps glided for half a meter. He instantly smashed his steel pipe on the back of Anhu's head. Blood splattered in all directions the moment after, as Anhu was battered to death directly by Tang Xiu. You've taken a lot of human lives. Consider it a blessing and good fortune for you to die first in my hands. Tang Xiu spoke inwardly as he reached out and grabbed Anhu's body, maneuvering the corpse to block the 2 men who came hacking at him. Bam! Tang Xiu threw Anhu's body to the man with the machete. His legs instantly moved toward the other 2 men, smashing the steel pipe on the right side of their necks and causing them to fall straight to the ground. This time he didn't kill them, but his fingers pressed some of their acupoints. His star force flushed into their bodies and destroyed their nerve system. He didn't kill. However, they could only spend the rest of their lives in bed, which was the best punishment for them. Don't waste time. You all come at me all at once. I'm not going to kill you today, but you fucking bastards must be punished. Tang Xiu shouted fiercely as he threw the steel pipe away. Desperately swallowing his saliva, fear appeared in Yuantao's eyes. Never did he imagine that Tang Xiu's martial strength would be so terrifying that his 4 most powerful fighters were disposed of by Tang Xiu in such a short period of time. His best fighter, Anhu, was even directly killed. Heavens! How could he have provoked such a terrifying monster? Yuantao truly wanted to run away, however, he calmed down after seeing more than 20 of his men still standing. He pointed to Tang Xiu and bellowed, "Fuck him up. Kill this asshole. I want him dead." However, the martial strength shown by Tang Xiu already made them shocked, as their legs were slightly trembling. If Yuantao was not here, at this moment, they might have thrown their weapons down and fled. In their eyes, how could this youth still be human? He was simply a fighting machine. It must be noted that Anhu had learned martial arts since he was a child, thus his foundation was very solid. He was an expert at Taizu Chong Quan and Baji Quan, as well as very good at freestyle combat, yet, even this fellow was killed by him with only a move. It was simply like sending themselves to die. Furthermore, Little Qing was a retired soldier and very strong. He became Yuantao's henchman after murdering some people and needing to lay low for a while. He had been concealing his identity till now. 1. 4 masters. Yet they were actually done in so easily by someone while they were ganged up on the man at the same time. How could they possibly contend against him? Looking at the fear on their faces as they didn't immediately execute his order to besiege Tang Xiu, Yi Wentao's panicked expression turned into anger as he shouted loudly, "Are you all fucking deaf? This father wants you to kill him for me. I will give 10 million yuan to whoever kills him, and he will also become my right-hand man in the future." 10 million yuan? Vicious and fiendish as they were, their fear instantly vanished upon hearing the reward set by Yi Wentao. Many of them reacted as though injected with chicken blood as they bravely stepped forward and stormed over Tang Xiu like hungry wolves. 2. If the reward is attractive enough, there will always be those brave enough to take the risk. These words perfectly explain this very moment. However, no matter how hard they went, they were still like ants trying to shake a giant tree. They were simply biting off more than they could chew. Tang Xiu acted ruthlessly and heavily due to the anger inside his heart. Every man who rushed over toward him had his hand or leg broken. In the courtyard, dozens of people curled up on the ground like dried-up shrimps, screaming and wailing. This scene chilled one's spine. Looking at Tang Xiu standing among the crowd, Yi Wentao's complexion was one of disbelief. He looked at his miserable men. Staggering, he faltered as he looked at Tang Xiu and was speechless for a long time. "Yi Wentao, right? There's still time. I'll wait if you want to call more people." Tang Xiu's face was cold and detached as he walked toward Yi Wentao and indifferently spoke. Yi Wentao's mouth twitched. Prior to this, he was so arrogant when speaking to the opposite party, yet he didn't expect that he'd be forced to this extent today. "You just wait." Not daring to run away, Yi Wentao took out his mobile phone and prepared to call his biggest backer. Chapter 457, Cruel and Evil. Jindy Group's headquarters. It was a lunchtime for Yi Wenhe. He was busy due to business's issues, and was only able to take a breath now. However, his mood turned for the better after looking at his peach-faced, tender and beautiful female secretary. If the project he had just discussed could be completed successfully, he would receive a lot of profits. At that time, he would buy some extravagant accessories for this little coquettish demoness to make sure that she'd make him feel better and more. Ring, ring, ring. The mobile phone on the table ringed. After swallowing the food in his mouth, Yi Wenhe picked it up and had a look at it. His brows immediately lifted up. After accepting the call, he asked, "What's the problem, second brother?" "Brother, help." From the cell phone, Yi Wentao's voice came out. For a moment, Yi Wenhe stared blankly. He then put the chopsticks in his other hand. The smile on his face faded as he asked, "What happened?" "There's a monster in my renovation company making trouble," said Yi Wentao hurriedly. He alone disposed of more than 40 my men. "B brother, bring your people here. Fast." "Hey, second. Did your brain get kicked by a donkey or something?" Yi Wenhe frowned. "Did you say that a person took care of 40 of your men? What damn joke is this? I still got things to deal with. I have no spare time to joke about with you." After saying that, as he was about to hang up the phone, Yi Wentao shouted, "Brother, I'll die if you don't help me. Every word I said is true. If it was before, I myself would never believe such an absurd thing, but it did really happen. There really is a guy who killed more than 40 of my men standing in front of me. If you don't believe me, I'll let him talk to you." After a moment of silence, Yi Wenhe then replied coldly, "Then let him talk." 10 seconds after, Tang Xiu took over the phone thrown by Yi Wentao and said indifferently, "What your trash brother has said is all true. If you don't want him to die, then send some people to rescue him. I gotta give you an advice though. You had better give it your all, don't spare anything. Otherwise, you would only fold yourself instead of saving him." After saying that, Tang Xiu smashed the mobile phone and then looked at Yi Wentao with his arms folded. Yi Wentao took a deep breath and forcibly suppressed his fear. He looked at Tang Xiu and said, "Tang Xiu, though I do have a lot of people, I pale in comparison with my older brother. If you don't want to die, I advise you to get the hell out immediately, or else it will be impossible for you to leave this place later. You think I'm scared? Tang Xiu sneered. He then fished out his mobile phone and dialed Qinan's phone number. After she answered, he said, "Take some people to the New Dream Renova company. I have killed some people here, and I need you to bring someone to deal with the collateral damage and the aftermath." "Got it, boss." Qinan quickly replied. After putting away his mobile phone, Tang Xiu looked at Yi Wentao and said, "At first, I had no need to call people over here to deal with the aftermath, but today's matter will inevitably make a big stir. Therefore, I hope that your big brother can quickly come to rescue you. If not, once my men arrive and with me around, the people your brother brings will be cleaned up." The fear in Yi Wentao's eyes intensified. Tang Xiu alone had decimated more than 40 of his men. If he still had his subordinates, could his older brother be able to deal with the situation? That's not right. Suddenly, he remembered something, the fear on his face completely disappeared. After which, he sneered and said, "Surname Tang. Trying to mystify things, eh? You are nothing but a freshman at Shanghai University. Dealing with the collateral and aftermath? Humph, what a bluff." Creasing his brows, Tang Xiu looked at the sudden arrogance on Yi Wentao's face. A wisp of a smile appeared on his handsome face as he said, "Well, I just had a sudden change of mind. I decided to make you pay interest first because of your provocation. Isn't the boss supposed to share everything with his men for better or worse? Didn't you also speak such things to your men? Why you, what are you gonna do?" Without him realizing, Yi Wentao stepped back 2 steps. A panicked expression resurfaced on his face again. "Are you asking what I'm gonna do?" Tang Xiu jeered, "Don't tell me you can't figure it out." "Tang Xiu, a man's words are as worthy as gold. Those were your words a moment ago. Don't tell me you want to take back the words you've said. Are you still a man?" Yi Wentao shouted. "Whether or not I'm a man is not for you to say it." Tang Xiu sneered. As his voice fell, Tang Xiu's figure instantly appeared in front of Yi Wentao. In an instant, a sharp dagger flashed across Yi Wentao's arms, blood spraying out quickly, as a slit the size of a baby's mouth opened on it. Tang Xiu sneered. The tip of his knife then changed directions, and directly poked into his front arm. Amidst Yi Wentao's shrilling screams, Tang Xiu retreated 2 steps and watched as Yi Wentao tried to pull his weak arm. "So, how are you feeling now?" The severe pain almost made Yi Wentao faint. He looked at Tang Xiu's smile as his vision turned dark and almost fainted. Regardless, it was not caused by the pain, but the fear in his heart. From the first moment Tang Xiu acted, he realized that Tang Xiu was extremely cruel and merciless. Yet little did he imagine that his cruelness would go so far as to this extent. He didn't kill him. But what he was doing now was fully torturing and tormenting him. Not only was he torturing him physically, he was also tormenting him psychologically. As of now, Yi Wentao had already started to pray so that his older brother, Yi Wenhe, would come earlier with his men. Otherwise, he didn't know how long he could persevere until his older brother arrived. "You win." Yi Wentao suddenly looked up. His eyes were as though spitting flame as he shouted and glared at Tang Xiu. "For me to be ruthless or not is not something for you to decide as well. But I'll give your older brother half an hour. If he doesn't arrive here within this time window, I will kill you directly. I don't want to waste my time here any longer. Let my men deal with the aftermath later." A chill struck Yi Wentao's heart. He didn't want to die. He was still under his 40s and possessed great wealth. But if he were to die now, having enormous wealth simply had no meaning whatsoever. He had once had a myriad of fantasies, imagining that he had bundled himself a mountain, possessing an enormous wealth, and then enjoyed it for the rest of his life. "Tang Xiu, give my big brother 40 minutes. He wouldn't be able to arrive here within 30 minutes if he got trapped in a traffic jam. But I promise you he'll be able to arrive here within 40 minutes. Furthermore, I won't let him strike you even if he comes. This issue is my mistake, to begin with. I shouldn't have let my people strike your brother and friends. If anything, I'm willing to pay compensation. Tell me how I should compensate you and I'll do it. Yi Wentao was really frightened, looking at Tang Xiu in fear as he nearly wept. 40 minutes? You want 40 minutes? All right, I'll give him 40 minutes. Tang Xiu sneered. I really hope he can arrive in 40 minutes. Otherwise, Sure. Nodding in desperation, Yi Wentao's eyes then swept over his nearest subordinate and shouted, "Gimme your cell phone. I gotta call my brother again." The middle-aged man had his leg broken by Tang Xiu. At this time, he was suffering tremendous pain, however, he hurriedly threw his mobile upon hearing Yi Wentao's shout. Don't your eyes see that my hands are unable to exert any strength? Dial his number for me. Yi Wentao furiously shouted. Fearful and frightened, the middle-aged man crawled up and hurriedly dialed the cell number while suppressing the pain. He propped himself up by holding onto Yi Wentao's waist and was barely able to stand up. He then dialed the number as per Yi Wentao's instructions and then sent the mobile phone to his ear. Who is this? Yi Wenha's cold voice came from the phone. Brother, my arms were pierced by his knife. Brother, please hurry up. Come quickly. He only gave you 40 minutes. No, that's not right. There's only 38 minutes now. If you can't get here within 38 minutes, he said he's going to kill me. Brother, I'm not joking with you. He already killed Anhu, and his dead body is in front of me. Please, hurry up. At this time, Yi Wenha, who was riding an elevator downstairs, had his complexion greatly changed. He knew that Anhu was the best fighter his younger brother had. He didn't expect him to be killed in front of his younger brother. In a flash, killing intent appeared in Yi Wenha's eyes, as he said in a deep voice, I'll catch up as fast as possible. Tell him that as long as he does nothing, I agree with whatever he wants. Okay, I'll tell him at once. Yi Wentao then looked at Tang Xiu and loudly said, Tang Xiu, my older brother said that as long as you do nothing until he arrives here, he'll comply with whatever demands you have. Let me tell you. My older brother is the big boss of the Jindi Group with a 10 billion yuan wealth. If you spare me, he'll give you a lot of money, tons of money. Do you see me as someone who lacks money or something? Tang Xiu sneered. Then, what exactly do you want? Yi Wentao asked loudly, That's right, you did say before that you have a request. What's your request, exactly? My request was originally a simple one. But your people started to attack me, some of them even dying in my hands. Thus, I'm not prepared to mention about that request again. Because now, I only want to kill you. Tang Xiu sneered. Yi Wentao's face turned ghastly pale. His lips quivered as he looked at Tang Xiu without the ability to speak. He could only tell his brother to come a bit faster and rescue him, for Tang Xiu already held the thought to kill him. Suddenly, the big man standing next to Yi Wentao whispered, Boss, tell him that we'll let bygones be bygones for Anhu's death. Yi Wentao dazed for a short moment. A few seconds after, his eyes lit up and he shouted, Tang Xiu, Anhu was my henchman. He was a man who lived on the edge of the knife, who sooner or later could have been killed by his enemies. Hence, I don't mind that Anhu was killed by you. If anything, I'll certainly comply with your request as long as you say it. And my older brother will definitely comply with it as well. Chapter 458, Struggling at Death's Door. Cravenly clinging to life instead of braving death was always human nature. No one is unafraid when facing death. Certainly, the death of those who lay down their lives for a noble cause is much heavier than empty tie. But more often than not, the death of the majority is lighter than a goose feather. But then again, fear is very normal. Regardless, as far as facing death is concerned, some show unperturbed expressions, while others are frightened out of their wits. Yi Wentao didn't want to die. He believed that good people would die young, while the scourges would last for millenniums. Hence, to him who had done too many evil deeds to count and had murdered more than once with his hands, he showed some compassion to those who were struggling and pleading miserably for mercy at the beginning. However, he had already become numb to it. Moreover, as his role changed, he suddenly realized how much despair and fear the people he had felt. Regret. It was like a viper preying on his heart. Seeing and realizing his errors, the urge to repent emerged in his heart out of desperation. With a cold and detached expression, Tang Xiu looked at him and lightly said, "Do you not fear disappointing your men if you say that? Take a look at them. Aren't they like foxes who are sad at the death of a hare?" Turning his head with a blank expression, Yi Wentao then saw his men looking at him with disbelief in their faces. A wave of regret immediately assailed him. He then realized something. His pleading for mercy just now had turned their hearts cold. Yi Wentao opened his mouth, yet he didn't know what to say. "Let's just wait." Tang Xiu sneered. "Whether you can live or not, it will depend on the speed of your older brother's arrival." After saying that, he lit a cigarette and took a few steps to the side. Leaning on a big tree, he no longer spoke. Silently closing his eyes, thoughts swirled inside Yi Wentao's mind. No one knew what he was thinking. Even his followers who had followed him for so many years didn't know what he had in mind. 10 minutes later, Yi Wentao's eyes finally opened, and took a few steps toward Tang Xiu. "Tang Xiu, there's no need to wait for my big brother. You can kill me now." Sensing something, Tang Xiu raised his head, his vision landing on Yi Wentao. He was surprised to find that the faint sinister aura inside Yi Wentao had unexpectedly disappeared without a trace. Though there was still a bit of fear in his eyes, they were now more determined and firm. What exactly had happened? Slightly frowning, Tang Xiu looked at him and asked, "Did you have a change of mind? My current situation is much like those persecuted by me. I couldn't comprehend it before, but now I can. Their fears, despair, it's really... Forget it. Just kill me if you want to. However, I have a request I hope you can allow before you kill me," said Yi Wentao. "Talking to me about conditions? Do you think you have the right?" Tang Xiu sneered. "I'm not speaking about conditions. It's a request, or you can say it's a plead," replied Yi Wentao as he shook his head. "Say it," said Tang Xiu. Yi Wentao's vision then landed on his men as he said unhurriedly, "I used to be a villain who committed all sort of crimes, bullying the weak and fearing the strong, as well as persecuting a lot of people. Even if you kill me today, I admit that I deserve punishment for those crimes. People like us have a saying, we will have to pay for what we have done sooner or later. Regardless, though my men are not good guys, most of them were only following my orders. They did those evil deeds because I instructed them to do so. Hence, as they have already been punished, I hope you can spare them and let them go. I promise you that they will definitely close their mouths about all that happened today." "Are you joking with me?" Tang Xiu raised his brows and sneered. "No, I'm dead serious," said Yi Wentao as he shook his head. In a flash, Yi Wentao's men had a change in their expressions. Their eyes were still filled with some disbelief, yet there was also an inconceivable expression in them. Never did they expect that Yi Wentao would say those words. It had to be noted that 10 minutes ago Yi Wentao was begging for mercy out of fear. Though he didn't express it explicitly, his face vividly and thoroughly described what he had in mind. But now he was like a changed man after a little more than 10 minutes? Why would he make such a decision? Clapping, Tang Xiu said with a smile, "It seems you have just gone through a great awakening or something. Buddhists have a saying that one can become a Buddha if he lays down his butcher's knife. I think you can leave your home and become a Buddhist monk if you don't die today. Regardless, it's impossible for me to kill you now. That big brother of yours, the Jindy Group's big boss, is your backer, and he should have done tons of evil things all these years, no? Hence, I still need to clean him up, and make him pay the price as well. Don't. Yu Wentao cried out involuntarily, and exclaimed in fear, Tang Xiu, my business has nothing to do with him. Though I can achieve success today due to my big brother's help, he rarely got involved in my evil deeds. I know you're very powerful, and I know that my big brother is not a good man either, but I hope you don't clash with him. Now you know that I'm powerful, eh? Asked Tang Xiu with a sneer. Nodding heavily, Yu Wentao emphasized his reply word by word, I know that you are very strong, more powerful than any martial arts expert I have ever heard about. Even our country's top special forces pale in comparison with you. I don't know who you really are, either do I know how strong your background is, but I hope we can stop this here and now. I'm in front of you. Just kill me if you want to. Tang Xiu fell into silence. He had been observing Yu Wentao's expression and found it firm and calm. Even his heartbeat was normal. It was highly unlikely that he spoke those words out of hypocrisy. Let's wait. Finally, Tang Xiu made a decision. What else are you waiting for, Tang Xiu? Yu Wentao asked loudly. I'm me, my older brother is himself. He has never offended you, no? He didn't offend me indeed, but I want to know what kind of man he is, said Tang Xiu indifferently. If he's like you, I don't mind conveniently killing him. For better or worse, it can also be considered as eliminating a threat to the people. You. Furious, Yu Wentao then looked at the man who was holding a mobile phone behind him and said in a deep voice, call my older brother. I want to talk to him. You had better stay put if you don't want all of your men to be massacred. Said Tang Xiu without being salty or insipid. Yu Wentao was dumbfounded, and his henchman's neck shrunk. His fingers that were about to press the call button turned stiff, and he helplessly looked at Yu Wentao and Tang Xiu, fear and trepidation covering his whole face. Time passed by. As Qi Nan then arrived with 6 experts from the Everlasting Feast Hall, Tang Xiu secretly shook his head. He just realized that the distance from the Everlasting Feast Hall to this place was actually not far. It took only 20 minutes by car at the most. Boss. Boss. Qi Nan came before Tang Xiu and reverentially called out. The 6 experts lined up in a row and respectfully called out as well. Stunned and dumbfounded, Yu Wentao never dreamed that Tang Xiu, who was only a freshman at Shanghai University, turned out to really have subordinates. Furthermore, through the 6 experts' steady and firm footsteps, he could tell with his keen eyes that they were not your ordinary Tom, Dick, and Harry. Each and every one of them was probably a genuine kung fu master with real skills. Nodding at them, Tang Xiu spoke, let us wait here first. There's still some people coming. After I got them solved, you will deal with the dead bodies that are left behind. There's only be one way to solve it thoroughly, boss, said Qi Nan. You mean, said Tang Xiu sharply. Kill them all, said Qi Nan coldly. I will assign some subordinates to transport their dead bodies and ship them out of Shanghai tonight, and then rent a ship and throw them into the sea to feed the fish. Hiss. Yu Wentao and his men couldn't help but gasp. Disbelief filled their eyes as they couldn't fathom that, to their surprise, a beauty such as Qi Nan turned out to have a heart as malicious as snakes and scorpions. There were dozens of people here. If they killed them all, how ruthless would that be? They originally thought that Tang Xiu was already extremely cruel and merciless, yet it turned out that his subordinates were even worse. Murdering them all and destroying their dead bodies is indeed the best solution to the problem. But too much killing won't do you any good in the future, said Tang Xiu as he shook his head. Let's wait. Wait until the most important person. If I like his behavior, this issue will be settled all at once. But if they are aggressive and arrogant, then we'll kill some of their leaders and the rest will be decimated. Furthermore, I believe that those who live today will definitely not dare to reveal anything about this matter. How can you be so sure, boss? Asked Qi Nan, surprised. These people all have families, I believe. Tang Xiu sneered. If they dare to open their mouth, then they must prepare to have their families killed. Do you think they will dare to be smart-tongued and then have their families ruined? Thinking about it for a short while, Qi Nan then nodded and said, "You're right, boss. Anyhow, I'll send someone to thoroughly investigate the families of these chaps. Whoever dares to trouble us, even if he and his family were to run to foreign countries, I'd still have the means to track and kill them." Like I said, the aftermath is yours to handle, said Tang Xiu. Consider it done. Qi Nan nodded. Both of them didn't conceal their conversation from Yi Wentao and his men. As a result, as they heard their conversation, they felt a chilling coldness in their necks. At present, Tang Xiu's true identity was still oblivious to them, yet they felt even more dread toward the cruel and merciless Qi Nan. Hence, they made up their minds that even if someone were to put a knife on their necks, they must never say anything about today's matter. 10 minutes later, Yi Wenhe arrived with dozens of big men wearing black suits and quickly rushed into the new Dream Renova company. As they came to the backyard, his face changed dramatically when he saw the scene there. Chapter 459, Acrimonious Falling Out. Yi Wenhe's net wealth was worth more than 10 billion yuan, and he was the big boss of a listed company, the Jindi Group. He was very famous in the business circle of Shanghai. Thus, his younger brother, Yi Wentao, also got some of his limelight, giving him a good status and also earning a fortune. However, never once had he ever dreamed that one day he would actually see his brother, Yi Wentao, falling into such a predicament like today. Bleeding and extremely unsightly to the eyes. Wounded, looking hideous and horrible to the extreme. The injured in the backyard were all his younger brother, Yi Wentao's men. On whose dead body, in particular, causing his breath to turn rougher. Yi Wentao rushed toward Yi Wenhe. With his back facing Tang Xiu, he shouted, "Brother, this time is my fault, I don't blame it on Tang Xiu. He just taught me the lesson that one will be punished for his evil deeds. Hence, you can take your men back." After saying that, he also gave winked at Yi Wenhe. Yi Wenhe's face turned extremely unsightly. He could understand the meaning behind his younger brother's meaningful wink. He instantly turned vigilant and alert inwardly. However, he didn't leave, and instead, quickly undressed his clothes, turning around to take a knife from his confidant behind him, and then quickly cut his clothes. After tearing a few strips, he quickly wrapped the wounds on Yi Wentao's arm. "Tell me, what exactly is going on here?" Yi Wenhe asked with a grim and cloudy face. "I'm not too clear either. It was Manager Li who told me. Several university students came to my renovation company, wanting to hire us to renovate their gym." Yi Wentao forced a smile and answered. However, since they didn't strike a deal, those students then looked for another renovation company, so Manager Li sent people to make trouble for them, injuring them as well as the workers from the other renovation company. Those students turn out to be Tang Xiu's friends, so he came seeking revenge. "Big brother, we have already been punished, so let this matter go." Yi Wenhe turned to Tang Xiu and coldly said, "Honorable young man, your actions are too severe. For a misunderstanding, not only did you hurt so many people, but you also killed my brother's people. That's too much. Am I too excessive?" Tang Xiu replied with ridicule. "Had it not been for my strength, it would have been me who would have died today. You say I'm too excessive? Your brother is still kicking, so you should be glad." Yi Wenhe was silent for a while before unhurriedly saying, "Since things have come to this point, and my younger brother has already been punished, this matter will end here and now." "You want to end things here?" Tang Xiu sneered. "Are you kidding me?" Yi Wentao stopped Yi Wenhe and talked to Tang Xiu in a heavy voice. "Tang Xiu, I told you before that you can kill me if you want to, but please don't make things difficult for my brother and my men. Shut up. Yi Wentao had a dramatic change in expression. Though he didn't know why his brother was so afraid of Tang Xiu, he didn't fear the youth at all. He brought his men to this place and was well prepared. Even if Tang Xiu could fight and also had some people beside him, could they block bullets? Staring at Tang Xiu, Yi Wenhe indifferently said, "Young man, don't ask for a mile after taking an inch. For better or worse, I, Yi Wenhe, am an honorable and respected figure in Shanghai. Do you think I'd let this matter go like this if it wasn't for my younger brother's sake? Furthermore, an enmity won't end if you don't settle it amicably. Damage has been done to both of our sides, so this issue had better end here and now, or else, no one will end up better after we've truly fallen out." Eyes turning colder, Qi Nan said in a deep voice, "Boss, let us wash this place with their blood." Deeply staring at Yi Wenhe, Tang Xiu produced a smile and said, "You two are really brothers, you have the same arrogance. Not very friendly and hard at the very least. I heard of your Jindy group prior to his, and I also heard your name as well. From the looks of it now, you indeed have a bit of ability, it seems. Whether I've skills or not, it's not your place to talk," said Yi Wenhe coldly. Tang Xiu walked toward Yi Wenhe. Just at the moment when Yi Wenhe thought he would stop, Tang Xiu's speed abruptly accelerated, his shadow almost flashing. A dagger suddenly appeared in his hand out of thin air, as it fiercely stabbed Yi Wenhe's upper arms. When he returned to his original position, a stream of blood immediately flowed profusely from Yi Wenhe's arms. "Kill all those with weapons." Cold words came out from Tang Xiu's mouth. Qi Nan and the 6 big men were long prepared. Upon hearing Tang Xiu's order, the 6 big men moved fast. They instantly pulled out their daggers and rushed into the group of Yi Wenhe's men. With undeniable force and irrefutable vigor, Yi Wenhe's men fell down. The 6 sturdy men who were closest to Yi Wenhe had their complexion furiously changed. They quickly pulled out their pistols. However, before they had yet to open the safety lock, a silver pistol appeared in Qi Nan's hand. Along with the flame bursting out from its barrel, 6 bullets shot out and pierced their foreheads. Trembling inside, Yi Wentao had already known that things were going to turn hellish the moment Tang Xiu moved. By the time the 6 gun-bearing men fell down, he rushed toward Yi Wenhe, blocking him with his own body. "Brother, you truly love showing off your forces." Bitterness inundated Yi Wentao's heart. Although the fighting seemed somewhat chaotic, the fallen men were all the men brought by his big brother, whereas Tang Xiu's 6 men were as though 6 tigers rushing into a flock of sheep, and the sheep had no strength to fight back at all. It was like the autumn wind sweeping away the withered leaves. Amidst the spraying blood and screams, dozens of stalwart men had fallen. Tang Xiu's 6 men were moving swiftly and violently. Adding to that, they moved from rear to front in less than a minute, yet all of them inflicted heavy damages, and those who were hit couldn't even stand up from the ground. "The task has been accomplished, boss." The 6 big men wiped the blood on their faces, and they quickly fell back to Tang Xiu. Nodding, Tang Xiu motioned for them to stand aside. Then, he unhurriedly walked toward the fearful-looking brothers, Yi Wentao and Yi Wenhe. "Now do you know what fear is like?" Tang Xiu showed an unfeeling and cold smile. He took out a cigarette and lit it, taking a deep puff and spitting out rings of smoke. Then, he spoke again, "Weren't you acting rampant just now, Yi Wenhe? How come you are standing behind your little brother now like a coward?" What am I seeing? Your legs are trembling. To think that your legs are shivering right now, to what degree of fear did you succumb to, exactly? Yi Wenhe was truly frightened. Just a moment ago, he was in high spirits and full of confidence due to bringing dozens of expert fighters, 6 of them even armed with guns. Hence, even though his younger brother, Yi Wentao, signaled to him and was acting submissive toward Tang Xiu, he thought that Tang Xiu would also end up the same to him. If a conflict were to arise, then his 6 men could take care of it with their pistols. However, how did things come to this? Blood was flowing from his arms, yet he didn't dare to bandage it. He could only lift his hands to cover the wounds on his shoulders, attempting to reduce the bleeding speed. Scared and frightened, Yu Wentao looked at the 6 dead bodies beside him, whose temperatures were still warm. The scene struck him hard, making him realize that Qi Nan was truly a demoness who could kill without batting an eye. Please forgive my brother's rashness, Tang Xiu. He didn't really want to fight you and become your enemy. He's accustomed to acting this way, so he couldn't change it so abruptly. Now, if you want to kill, then kill me. If you want to beat someone, then beat me, but please, leave out my older brother. You can lash out your resentment at me. While deeply staring at Yu Wentao, Tang Xiu sighed, while I'm still clueless as to why your mentality has transformed like this. It is indeed a good thing, so I decided not to kill you. As long as you can accept my conditions, I can write this off all. Eyes lit up, Yu Wentao immediately nodded heavily and said, please do speak out your conditions. I'll not refuse them as long as I can fulfill them. First, you 2 brothers are to fork out 1 billion yuan in compensation. Second, you must go to Shanghai's first public hospital personally and kneel at the hospital's entrance for a day. Third, discard 1 arm and leg of that manager surnamed Li. Fourth, you 2 brothers are to deal with the aftermath here. Yu Wentao's expression constantly changed. After 10 seconds, he nodded with a face full of bitterness and said, I accept all your conditions. Wentao. Yu Wenhe exclaimed. Turning around, Yu Wentao gazed at him and forced out a wry smile, brother, do we still have room for bargaining? It'd very easy if he wanted to kill us now. I really thought that I would die for sure at first, but now there's a slim chance of survival. There's nothing I can do but comply. Yu Wenhe fell into silence. He knew that his brother's words were the hard truth. With Tang Xiu's and his men's cruelness and mercilessness, this day next year would probably become their anniversary of death if they refused. Tang Xiu nodded and lightly said, give me your cell number. I'll send my bank account to your mobile via SMS. All the conditions I gave you must be fulfilled by 12 o'clock tomorrow night. Otherwise, I won't think twice to send people to kill you all. Having said that, he turned around and walked away. While leaving, he gave an order to collect the pistols. Those pistols were illegal weapons and would be a cause for disaster if these people kept them. He might as well keep them inside his interspatial ring for safekeeping. 2 minutes later, Yu Wentao finally took his gaze back and shifted his vision toward Yu Wenhe, bitterly saying, Big brother, let's bandage our wounds first. We have been done in this time, and we can't let such a thing happen to us again. Otherwise, we brothers will die a tragic death sooner or later in the future. Yet, there was coldness inside Yu Wenhe's eyes. He had never eaten such bitter losses like this for over a decade, thus was born a bitter hatred toward Tang Xiu. He made up his mind. Today he may bow his head and admit his fault, but he swore to secretly build up his power and then pay back today's shame and humiliation in the future. A decade later is never too late for a man to take his revenge, said Yu Wenhe coldly. Yu Wentao's complexion changed as he retorted in a deep voice, you had better not think about revenge, brother. That Tang Xiu and his men are simply not human. Even if we train hundreds of skilled people, they won't be necessarily able to contend with them. Who knows how powerful is his background? I'll send people to investigate him, said Yu Wenhe coldly. Chapter 460, A Sensational Moment. Leaving the New Dream Renova Company, Tang Xiu headed straight to Shanghai First Public Hospital with Qi Nan, whereas the 6 experts of the Everlasting Feast Hall secretly lurked around the New Dream Renova Company to monitor the Yi brothers. After all, Tang Xiu didn't want any unforeseen event to emerge. If the Yi brothers were to call the police or didn't handle the aftermath properly, the 6 experts would then take action. In the inpatient department ward. After entering the room, Tang Xiu saw Yuan Chuling playing with his mobile phone listlessly. Chuckling, he went toward him, I already sent someone to find nurses for you, and there will be 2 nurses for each of you. I have also paid your hospitalization fees and all your medical expenses, so you can feel at ease to heal from your injuries here. As for the issues with your campus, I'll find someone to take care of it later. Surprised and shocked, Yuan Chuling stared at Tang Xiao and asked, "Eldest brother, can I recuperate outside? Hospital smell is too unbearable, and lying in bed is boring as hell." "Nope, you gotta stay to recuperate here." Tang Xiao shook his head. "The most important thing to do now is to get better. Besides, the October holiday will soon come, and you will start your schooling afterward. By then you can get out of your bed and report to your campus, and recuperate outside." "But, brother, aren't you a powerful divine doctor or something? The doctors here can't compare to you." Yuan Chuling was dejected. "How about you treat me yourself? Your injuries are all superficial, they need to heal slowly." Tang Xiao said. "What I do best is administering first aid and treating chronic illnesses. Even if I do give you a treatment, the effect won't be very different. Hence, you gotta recuperate slowly. You'll be as healthy as a fatty pig in the pen after you recover." "What the fuck?" Yuan Chuling was speechless and unable to retort. He knew he was full of fat as of now, and wished he could successfully lose weight as fast as possible. The Tang Xiao's remark gave him such a not a serious psychological blow. "Anyhow, what exactly did you do, big bro, Tang?" "I went to the New Dream Renova company," said Tang Xiao. Looking panicked and horrified, Yuan Chuling exclaimed, "You really went there?" What the hell did you do?" "Avenged you," said Tang Xiao indifferently. Yuan Chuling trembled. But seeing as Tang Xiao wasn't injured, he curiously asked, "How did you avenge me, exactly?" "Beating the ones who needed to be beaten, and killing those who needed to be killed," said Tang Xiao faintly. "If anything, that New Dream Renova company's boss, Yi Wentao, will come here tomorrow, to kneel at the entrance as an apology to you. Anyhow, he also gave 1 billion as compensation. Do you want the money?" Slack-jawed, Yuan Chuling stared at Tang Xiao incredulously. He suspected that Tang Xiao was only boasting. "Is this for real, brother?"
"Yeah,
"It's true," said Tang Xiao with all seriousness. Gulping down his saliva, Yuan Chuling could tell that Tang Xiao was not cracking a joke. After hesitating for a moment, he said, "Though I'm unable to buy it, since it's you who's saying it, I'll believe it. However, I don't want the money. If that man surnamed Yi really come kneel at the entrance of this first public hospital for a day, that is enough for me to vent my anger already. Regardless, I'm kinda afraid that he'll make trouble if he kneels there all day, though. How about doing it another way? Let him come here and kowtow 3 times, and then let him off." After thinking for a short while, Tang Xiao felt that Yuan Chuling's idea could work as well. Therefore, he dialed Yi Wentao's number and said, "You don't have to kneel for a day at the first public hospital's entrance. You just need to come to my friend and kowtow 3 times. That will suffice as an apology." "All right." Upon hearing it, Yi Wentao's reply sounded a bit excited. If he were to choose between kneeling for a day and kowtowing 3 times, he would definitely choose the latter. After all, if he really knelt for a day at the entrance of Shanghai's first public hospital, he would surely enter the headlines of all major media in the country. He would completely lose his face. In the future, not to mention in Shanghai, he would probably not be able to mix into society in the other parts of the country. After pondering for a while, Tang Xiao casually said, "The compensation will increase by 100 million yuan. Bring the money to my friend tomorrow." "No problem." Yi Wentao's reply sounded unusually happy. Hanging up the phone, Tang Xiao then looked at Yuan Chuling and lightly said, "I just got another 100 million. Since you don't want that 1 billion, this 100 million will be your pocket money." Yuan Chuling's expression turned strange. He looked at Tang Xiao while raising his finger to point at his nose. "You'll give me 100 million as pocket money? Is that not enough for you?" asked Tang Xiao. How could it not be enough? It's simply sufficient. Yuan Chuling hastily waved his hand and forced a smile. 100 million. Though my family is quite rich and is able to fork out 1 billion, yet I have never seen what 100 million yuan money looks like. It's great if you're satisfied, buddy. Tang Xiu chuckled. Anyhow, you should have seen me in the news headlines, right? Clapping, Yuan Chuling grinned, but of course, big bro. Sure as hell I know about that. There has been a footage that's causing a big sensation recently, and I can tell that people all over the country surely know about it. I had long known that you were great at playing the zither, but I never thought that you would make such a stir because of it. You are a big star now, buddy. With a helpless expression, Tang Xiu replied, it was out of my imagination that things would develop to this point. Nevertheless, in the next several days I can't go to the campus to attend class due to that. Hence, I'm planning to attend the classes in the next few days. I will come visit you before the holiday in November, though. But I'm afraid I can't do that too often. Didn't you tell me you'd help hire nurses for us? Yuan Chuling waved his hand and replied. With some nurses taking care of me, you can rest easy, brother. Anyhow, I heard that your campus has a campus flower ranking or something. When you hook up with several campus flowers, can you bring them to accompany me here to relieve my boredom or something? What the? Go to hell. Tang Xiu couldn't help but snap. Knock, knock. As the door was knocked, Qi Nan then came in. She looked at Yuan Chuling on the bed and nodded at him. Then, her eyes shifted to Tang Xiu and said, Boss, we have hired a total of 12 nurses. We'll assign 2 of them to take care of each person for night and day shifts. Is there any other instructions? Tang Xiu shook his head, the hospital's food is kind of poor. Arrange some people to deliver food to them every mealtime. Take note that the dishes must be delicate. All of them have traumas and are unsuited to eat greasy meals in particular. Get them healthy food to help nurture their health. Roger that. I'll arrange it when I go back, said Qi Nan respectfully. You can go back first. I'll call you if there's something I need, said Tang Xiu with a nod. While watching Qi Nan depart from the ward, a look of surprise was cast on Yuan Chuling's face. Who the hell is that pretty big sis, bro? She's very beautiful, and to my surprise, she's so respectful to you. Damn, you're too awesome, big bro. To think that you mingled like that? Is she your employee?
Nah.
Her name is Qi Nan, and she's not my employee. Tang Xiu shook his head. She's the vice manager of the Everlasting Feast Hall's branch in Shanghai. She's the vice manager of a restaurant? How come she addresses you as boss? Asked Yuan Chuling, confused. I'm the owner of the Everlasting Feast Hall. Thus, she's naturally my staff as well, said Tang Xiu with a chuckle. You even opened a restaurant in Shanghai? Asked Yuan Chuling in amazement.
Yeah.
If you want to dine at the Everlasting Feast Hall, whether it is in Shanghai, Beijing, Jingmen Island, Hong Kong, and other places, as long as there is an Everlasting Feast Hall there, just mention my name. They will not charge you and will also treat you as a VIP, said Tang Xiu with a smile. This old Yuan is convinced, my dear bro. Yuan Chuling gave him thumbs up and praised. You're my idol, you're simply a godlike existence in my mind. How long has it been since you came to Shanghai? Yet you unexpectedly have opened a restaurant here too. Anyhow, listening to you, it seems like you have also opened a branch in Beijing, Hong Kong, and Jingmen Island.
Yeah.
That's so fucking awesome. Idolizing me, or worshipping me, just keep it in your heart, will ya? Tang Xiu chuckled. It's kinda embarrassing if it's you speaking. Fuck. You're shameless. Yuan Chuling cussed. Alright, looking at you still able to curse me, that means you are fine already, Tang Xiu giddily said. Anyhow, I need to get going first. I'll think of a way to solve the problems with your campus. Please do, boss, eldest bro. Replied Yuan Chuling quickly. Tang Xiu couldn't help laughing. We're brothers, so dispense with the politeness, will ya? Ah, right. Text me the information of your 2 fellow students. Copy that. Yuan Chuling hurriedly took out his mobile phone. A few minutes later, Tang Xiu left the inpatient department building. As he arrived at the hospital's parking lot, he took out his mobile phone. After thinking for a short while, he edited a short message and sent it to Jin Xingkue and Gu Changmin. Immediately after, Gu Changmin's phone call came. Brother Tang, the vice president of Shanghai University of Science and Technology Department is my brother-in-law. Why do you ask? Gu Changmin's voice was heard from the mobile. Old brother Gu, a friend of mine, is a student at the Science and Technology Department of Shanghai University. He and I have formed a partnership to invest in a fitness center. During its renovation recently, he and his 2 classmates were badly beaten after a conflict with some people. He was seriously injured and is now hospitalized in Shanghai's first public hospital. I would like to ask you to contact the campus leaders so as to give them a leave of absence. After all, they need to be hospitalized for several days. It will be quite troublesome if they keep skipping classes. This is nothing but a trivial issue. No problem, I'll call my brother-in-law immediately. That's right, just send me the information of your friend and his classmates. Gu Changmin laughed. Please wait a bit, then. Tang Xiu ended the call and forwarded the text message sent to him by Yuan Chuling. Afterwards, he received a call from Jin Xingkue, telling him that he didn't know any leaders from the Science and Technology Department of Shanghai University, but he actually knew a few of Shanghai University's leaders. After randomly explaining, Tang Xiu ended the call. What he didn't expect was that after he asked Gu Changmin to help, the man even went to the Science and Technology of Shanghai University by himself. After having a discussion with his brother-in-law, the vice president of Science and Technology of Shanghai University, who was quite a figure with real authority, personally led a group to rush to Shanghai's first public hospital to visit Yuan Chuling and the other 2 students. Additionally, much to Yuan Chuling's surprise and astonishment, they also expressed their consolations and gave them rewards. As for the reason, it was because he was a role model student for setting a good example for today's college students in starting a business, when he was still a freshman and just began his studies. Shortly put, Yuan Chuling was praised high up to the sky until the guy himself was embarrassed. Hence, the admiration he already had in mind for Tang Xiu's abilities increased.